Ladies and gentlemen, warm welcome again to Crazy Talks with Wise People. This is the 30th edition, and this is Mary Angela Tuck, broadcasting live from my home studio at Wheelchair United Kingdom. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic, and our guest is as important as the topic itself. The title of this podcast is Unleash the Millennials and Save the World. So this is a title of our guest book, which he wrote in relation to AI from a Christian perspective. So the term AI actually stands for artificial intelligence and could be attributed to John McCarthy of Michigan Institute of Technology with Marvin Minsky of Carnegie Mellon University and defined as the construction of computer programs that engage the tasks that we currently more satisfactorily perform by human beings. Well, I just read this from a portal called the Council of Europe. Okay, so I'm giving credit to where credit is due because that is very important. This podcast is going to be composed of two parts. First part, our guest speaker will be talking about Christian perspective about AI. Is AI godly or ungodly? What are the positive and negative effects of AI? And who do you think should take the lead during the AI generation? What jobs do you recommend? Will our guest recommend for baby boomers? And why should the boomers start passing the baton to the millennials, which is a very important issue, and many other topics in relation to this very relevant world that we are in, the AI generation. The part two will be announced at the end of the show. So stay put. We are so fortunate and so blessed to have taken a hold of Dr. Philip Zimmerman. Philip has over 40 years of business ownership and service in executive leadership of both privately held and public corporations. He had a fast start, becoming multi-millionaire by age 30. His visionary gift has proven successful in a number of different market sectors, including engineering, environmental consulting, software development, secondary education, franchising, business consulting, and coaching. Philip has advanced degrees in engineering and theological studies, as well as a doctorate in organizational leadership. He is registered professional engineer, an ICF certified professional coach, and an ordained minister. Current endeavors include coaching, consulting, training, writing books, and podcasting. Oh, wow. He's got everything that we need as a resource person for this very important topic that we will be speaking about today. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us welcome this wonderful person who is going to tell us more about our curiosity and how to prepare ourselves for the AI generation. Let's all warmly welcome Dr. Philip Zimmerman.
Thank you, Angela. I appreciate the generous introduction that you provided me. Looking forward to our conversation today.
Yes. Okay. So as a Christian, what are your views about AI?
I guess as a Christian or as a person, either way, it's pretty open. I mean, it's a new technology, and it's not to be feared from that sense of just being a technology. It is. We have AI operating already. I mean, you got your GPS in your car, and you put in a location and suddenly there's a traffic accident up ahead and your AI is already working for you. You have avoidance systems in your automobile. I do anyway. And I'm coming up behind somebody and my brakes suddenly come on if they stop short in front of me. And so AI is currently working all around us. I think we initially thought, from a Christian perspective, I'm not, it is what it is. I think that's it's coming. It's going to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, right. Thank you. But Philip, some of the Christians are scared because it's not in the Bible. It's not in the Bible. So they say, oh, it's not biblical, or not even Christians, like other people. They're a little bit scared about this because it's not biblical. So is it godly inspired invention? What do you think?
It is being invented by mankind, obviously, and it's being implemented by mankind. I think that there's a lot of things that we're doing in the world today that you wouldn't find in the Bible. The Bible is not trying to communicate to us all things that are going to be developed technologically or all the things that mankind will do. I think that the Bible is providing us the information that we need in order to access faith in Jesus Christ and have eternal life and spend eternity with God. What we do as humans on the earth is under the sovereignty of God. I mean, if God didn't want AI developed, he never would have allowed it to be developed. So it is, whatever's happening is all part of his sovereign, in his sovereign will. We have to surrender to his sovereign will in our life. And the development of AI is one of those things. It has been very advantageous, I believe, to us culturally and socially already. It is what is coming in the future that has a lot of people very, very concerned in regards to AI because of what it is being proposed to do. And it has not yet been released, which is coming in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. If we have a tool like a knife, it really depends upon us as to how we're going to use a knife, either for cutting some food in the kitchen or, for something evil. So it actually just depends upon us, I think. Now, we have another question here. What are the positive and negative effects of AI?
Well, I think already we see positive effects of artificial intelligence, and that is in machines. You have you have a program where you give it a very specific set of instructions, and that if it encounters an error of some kind or an issue to deal with, there's another set of instructions that tells the computer what to do. And that's basic machine language. And we have machines building all kinds of stuff for us in factories and manufacturing around the world. What AI is, that's the next level where they're trying to develop a sentient being inside the computer, where the computer itself has an ability to reason and a mind as the human mind. As they're doing more investigation of the human mind, how the human mind works and is so fast. And that's what they're saying. And when the quantum computing comes out, AI is going to be unbelievable because of the ability of the speed of the computing network. And so we don't yet see what is on the horizon. What they're talking about now, the World Economic Forum came out with an article that was posted on LinkedIn. Somebody posted it on LinkedIn, WEF, and they said that 25% of all jobs globally in 5 years will be eliminated. It's 25% of all jobs globally will
That's
be
a negative side of it. Yeah.
eliminated. And they said most of it is due to AI. Some of it's due to the ESG, environment, social governance that's going around in regards to climate change. But the big point is no one's preparing for that right now. There's no one preparing for that. So there's a real difficulty that's coming when jobs start to be lost. So I think from a positive, I guess the negative perspective of AI and what most people in the know, and I don't know, I'm reading what I'm reading online and what I can obtain in books and that kind of stuff, but I'm not on the front line actually developing this. So I have no idea what they're actually developing. But the people who are developing it are saying that there's instances of national defense and militarization of AI that is very scary. That, in other words, if you turn the machine over to running your war, which actually Israel did about 6 months ago, and it was very successful. I think in 11 minutes, it totally stopped whatever was happening.
Yeah, I think the Iron Dome is AI, right? It's being
I'm not sure about that, but they turned AI on in 11 minutes. It apparently it stopped everything, but because it was overwhelming the people that were trying to keep up, and they couldn't keep up. AI just went in and did it, and so I think that's the big fear that a lot of people have is it's going to be put in charge of our military weapons, and it's going to start thinking, and so it's going to start. Could it? In other words, would we allow it to be the first strike? Well, of course, that's the whole thing in nuclear arms right now. Nobody wants to be the person to do the first strike because it's going to be annihilation of the planet. But you have to be strike first, or you'll be destroyed first. And so they're saying who's going to tell it not to strike first?
Well, you're talking about war. My introspection about this is that why should we not? Why should we not stop the boomers from leading? From taking the topmost leadership positions, because these are the people who might, well, not quite, but we can see it all around. All our government leaders actually right now are boomers, and I think, well, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they've been trained during the tyrannical era, and that's why their mentality is still is still into solving political, geopolitical issues or social issues through war. Whereas if we are going to put millennials into the topmost leadership of governance, politics, in all sorts across the board, we think war can be avoided, especially during this AI age, which you said could be very dangerous. So if we have the millennials who are trained under the transformational leadership kind of leadership, then war might be avoided. What do you think, Philip?
I think war has been in the heart of mankind since Cain killed Abel, and it's not leaving the heart of mankind. The devil kills his children. The devil, all of mankind born into the world is born into sin and death, and under the influence and under the control of the evil one, because we're held in slavery by our fear of death. That's mankind's. That's the mankind in the world, and the devil hates us. He would rather us kill everyone, but God's holding his hand from doing that. But that's his real desire. So I don't care whether millennial, Gen Z, anybody. There's going to always be war. There's always going to be murder. It's in the heart of mankind. But in regards to AI and in my book, I strongly recommend to business leaders to immediately. I mean, I wrote the book in 2020, so it's 3 years past now. And in there, I was even recommending immediately start to transition your leadership to millennials.
You mean corporate leadership?
Corporate leadership to millennials and Gen Z. And the reason being is that we boomers, while we have the control, we have the institutional knowledge, we have not the intellect nor the desire to learn. We just don't have it in us. It's not in us. We can read what it does, but we're not going to study and figure out how to operate it. We're just not going to do that. We're beyond that. We'll hire people to do that for us. And no, you have to have people within your organization who are leading your organization, who are intimately familiar with this coming technology, because it's going to change everything. And if you don't change, you're going to be disrupted, and you're going to be your company's going to be eliminated. So if you want to stay in that leadership and hold on, you're going to hold on like Blockbusters did all the way to the end. And Netflix tried to get bought out by Blockbusters, but Blockbusters said, "No, we don't need that. We don't need Netflix. What's Netflix? We can survive that." And that's what's coming. It is as significant as that, as significant as the printing press, as significant as a camera on your phone putting out Kodak out of business and Polaroid out of business. That's what's coming, and we don't know how to most boomers in corporate positions have no idea what it is, what it can do, and how to utilize it in their business. Millennials, they a lot of them don't know as well, because it just hasn't been released, but they can learn it. That's the whole problem. They can learn it, and they'll know how to operate it. And Gen Z, the same thing. The difference, you call it the tyrannical generation, the boomers. We were raised in the modern age. We just think differently. Millennials and boomers, 180-degree difference in the way we think. It doesn't mean that we're different than as a human. We still have the same cares inside of ourselves. It's just how do we process information.
Mm.
And so so my recommendation again is if you're listening and you're a leader, a boomer leader in your organization, is to transfer that leadership, have a leadership succession as soon as possible to someone in your organization who's a millennial or even a Gen Z at this point.
Yes, or if they refuse to transfer the leadership, they need to adapt or they need to learn and unlearn.
That's correct, but we're not going to do it. The boomers are, a 65-year-old boomer. He may get out there and really, try to keep up with the young guys and the young gals, but we just can't do it. We just don't have the emotional capacity to. How many software systems have we had to learn? We started off with Microsoft DOS when in a 5-inch floppy disk. 64K was the total combined memory of the IBM computer we had on our desk. It was 32 kilobytes per disk drive.
Mm.
And then we're here. We are. We've got. Anyway, just technology has overburdened the boomers, and we're burned out on it. So we'd leave it to the millennials to develop and the Gen Z to develop.
All right. So Dr. Zimmerman, author of Unleash the Millennials and Save the World, recommends that all boomers should start passing the baton to the millennials or Gen Z generation this time, and they need to start preparing for another career before they become irrelevant.
Well, we totally skipped over the Xers, which are in between the millennials and the boomers. And this is something else corporate America doesn't recognize. No one's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this. There's 80 million boomers demographically, 80 million boomers approximately, and 80 million to 100 million millennials approximately. There's 40 to 45 million millennials in the United States that were born in the United States. So for every boomer that retires, and about half of us, or over half of us, are now retired. But for every boomer that retired, there wasn't a Gen Xer to take their place.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always missing somebody. So that's why the millennials has been necessary to bring millennials up to be able to work in positions that take 15 years of experience. Because the Xer would move up, the millennial would take the Xer's place. Well, now there's enough. All of the Gen Xers are already in formerly held boomer jobs. So the next boomer that retires, there are no Xers left, Gen Xers left to take your job. You have to have, that's what I'm saying. You got to take the millennials up, bring them up. And I develop next generation leadership institutes just for this purpose of leadership succession. How to train your millennial talent that's 35 years old, 38 years old, and get them in a position to take a job that a 54-year-old to a 55-year-old with 20 more years experience than they have can do within 5 years. And that's what I've developed and I've implemented. So companies are doing it, but the pandemic really put a squash on a lot of that activity from a training perspective, because the pandemic changed a lot of what happened, how business is operating today.
Okay, so what do you recommend? Like, for example, because you're recommending all the boomers right now to relinquish their positions, their leadership positions. What jobs do you think should these boomers embrace? Because they're just not just gonna sit down. I think they would just still would like to be a part of the corporate world. So if they would still like to be a part of the corporate world, what jobs do you recommend for them?
All right. First, for my boomer brethren out there, if you haven't already amassed enough wealth in your bank account to survive retirement, then you're going to be in trouble, because you're not going to make it on Social Security and Medicare. I'll tell you right now. But most boomers who are in leadership positions in corporations have amassed great amount of wealth, and they're getting paid a lot. I mean, they are being significantly compensated for being at the top of organizations. They're the highest paid people within the organization typically. And what I say for boomers who are afraid of succession and giving up their position is that they go on either stay within the corporation or go on contract with the corporation for a given period of time as a coach within the organization. Learn what coaching is, because that's how Millennials and Gen Z learn, is through coaching. They don't learn through dictation. Here, here's this, do this. They don't. That's not how they were trained to learn. They were trained to learn in a coaching environment, and I didn't know that until I became a coach and went through the training and said, "Oh my gosh, this is different. This is definitely different than how I learned," and have them become, because they have the institutional knowledge of the organization itself. They may not have the technical capability to be able to make the decisions of implementation of AI and the other changes that are coming that AI is going to create, but they can take that institutional knowledge that they have and have a younger person, a millennial within the organization, to innovate it. That's the whole thing we're looking for. This, you talk about transformational coaching or transformational leadership. Part of that transformation is innovation. You want to be the company that develops the disruptor for your market. Because if you don't develop the disruptor for your market, you're going to be out of the market because somebody is going to develop that. And it's in through that development of a disruptor for your market that you'll discover a lot of other things that you can do before the disruptor even comes out. How you can improve the workflow through your business. You can't do that while you're the CEO or the COO of the organization or the CFO of the org. You can't do that. You don't have time to do that. You're worrying about the business. You will then you I call it developing a millennial dream team, or a dream team within your organization. An innovation dream team is you gather around the top people that you know of as the CEO or as the CFO or as the COO, and pick the top people to be on your team who are of the millennial Gen Xers, millennial, Gen Z, that with that specific purpose. We want to innovate a disruption. How do we innovate a disruption in our market sector? And then just start working on it. And along the way, it's kind of like when we went to the moon, if we ever did go to the moon. But the space program, the technologies that came out of the space program, which were, directed towards something totally different than it's being used for commercially. That's just what the current executives of the organizations need to understand for themselves. We're going to be like the space program. We're going to work on something that's going to develop something else for our corporation that is going to totally change the way we do things, the way we serve our clients, customer satisfaction, you name it, improvement of profits. They have that, but they can't do it right now because they're running the business. But if they can let go of running the business and start improving the business through what they know, I think that they would they would find meaning and purpose in life again. Other than adding to the stockpile of wealth that they already have. And so they would take a salary or whatever it is, but they wouldn't have to be the highest paid person in the organization.
So would you like to train the boomers to become a coach, an executive coach like you?
Oh yeah, I'm involved in doing that right now.
All right. So how many enrollees do you have in your institute?
Well, the institutes I develop were actually in my objective in that is to train corporate coaches within their organizations. It's not me. I don't want to have a staff of coaches on my staff. I want to train business leaders how to be coaches within their own organization, and then have them train within their own organization how they want that coaching to operate, and how they want, because again, each organization is different. It's not you can't cook a coach and put him in any corporation and go from corporation without encountering differences in how the corporation operates, the culture, the dynamics of the corporation. They're all separate. And so the best way to do it is to have internal coaches and to have the executives become the leaders of those coaching groups, and have it go all the way down to the front lines. Start at the front lines and move up in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so now we are done with the part one. We were able to cover everything that we promised to cover for this part one. We will do a part two of this one, so please watch part two. For part two, we will be covering about how should one redefine his or her meaning, purpose, and calling during this AI age. Number two, Jeremiah 11 talks about predestination. So how do we reposition ourselves during this AI generation in a way not to be derailed from our calling? And another thing that we're going to talk about is there are some prophecies about the dawning of AI age and how do we use AI ethically and all those. The discussion will revolve around those. So these are very important issues that we Christians or even non-Christians, outside of Christianity, can benefit from. So, Philip, will you please say your parting words for this part one episode?
Appreciate the opportunity to be on the program today, Angela. And I guess the parting words was AI is coming. Assign someone in your organization to find out what it is and how to implement it within your organization.
Thank you so much. Those are weighty words that we should think about, and not just think about, but start preparing ourselves based on those words for the for this AI generation. Thank you so much for watching us at Crazy Talks with Wise People. Once again, this is Mary Angela thanking our guest, Dr. Philip Zimmerman, for enlightening us all about AI, which we all need. And let's welcome him again on our next episode. Okay, so his episode will come up today and next Wednesday,
Yeah.
because we always publish every Wednesday. So thank you very much, Philip. I'll see you again on our second episode. And to all of you, thank you for watching. And it is always my joy to inspire you, to encourage you, and to educate you. Bye for now.